Okay, let's move very swiftly on to what was an eventful World Cup draw a couple of days ago. I'm sure you watched it, Jonathan. Lots of cheering with Gianni Infantino and Donald Trump. What did you make of that?
Well, actually, I didn't watch it. I'd taken the kids to a Moomin Christmas show in Highgate. But, it was similar. Very, very similar levels of theatre and juggling but I mean, what was it? Like an hour and a half of preamble, a couple of hours of the draw itself, so much pomp and so. I think we really used to look as fans. We really used to look forward to these occasions. You know, the pots and the permutations and who's going to play where. It felt like Christmas morning. But it got hijacked basically. It's been hijacked, and I think the politicisation of it for an organisation that claims that football has to stay out of politics or that football isn't political, I think that grates. I think the fact that Donald Trump, who around the world is not a very popular leader, who's been one of the most divisive presidents, I think, in recent history, is being awarded a peace prize. I think that grates with a lot of people. And at a broader level, the fact that FIFA and this ceremony itself and this World Cup, which should theoretically belong to everyone, that engages billions of people around the world, is in the hands of people who seem to care so little for the long-term welfare of the game and the fans who follow it.
James, I want to talk about the piece that Sam Wallace has written in the Sunday Telegraph. He says, Infantino goes rogue with Trump loving. He says, first, Infantino debased himself with a desperately unfunny set of opening remarks. These culminated in his demand that the audience chant the name of one of the 3 World Cup hosts. This was the point, somehow more excruciating than what had gone before, that he suspected all moderation had failed. Infantino was surely writing his own material. He's gone rogue. What were you thinking when you were watching that?
It's painful. It was painful. If you want an example of how this sport, the game that we all love, succeeds in spite of those who run it, then just go to anything organised by FIFA. He's got a track record for this. The 3 World Cups that he's been part of. Obviously, President Putin, he did the same with him in Russia in 2018. He cozied up to the Emir of Qatar in 2022. He's doing the same with Trump now. He feels he needs to get close to the ultimate power broker in those 3 countries to make sure that FIFA gets everything that they want. It was a pantomime. It was a farce. And it was 88 minutes until a ball had been drawn. 88 minutes. And we had to go through the pretense of having the 3 leaders of the countries on stage to draw out their own country. And when Donald Trump's working out what's coming, Canada went first, Mexico went second, and when Donald Trump's working out, this is probably going to be the USA, it's at a level that needs to be improved.
Just on Rory Smith's piece, Dan, in the Observer, he says, what unfurled at the Kennedy Centre on Friday felt painfully undignified, an occasion that served to diminish rather than embellish the world's greatest sporting event. But he did say, ignore Infantino's worst successes and focus on the football. Simple.
Yeah, I think undignified is the right word. Infantino fluffing Trump on stage effectively with this made-up award. Which I suspect was in big part just to convince Trump to definitely come to the thing. Apparently Trump doesn't like turning up places if he doesn't get given something. So they've made up this award, they've given him the Peace Prize and he's there. But yeah, I think that the wider point from Rory is a good one. These are incredibly exciting events in spite of the kind of ceremony around them and the nonsense around them. And I think the World Cup draw has thrown up some really intriguing tests that we can all kind of look forward to. Of the opening games, England, Croatia, Spain, Uruguay, spring out and you already think there are some, really good tests there. And I think we all had reservations around the politics of the last couple of World Cups, Russia and Qatar, as James alluded to. There were big issues around them off the field, but ultimately they were brilliant events in spite of that. I guess you could say that's kind of what sports washing is. That's the aim of it, to make you forget these things. But I suspect it will be the same next summer in spite of the kind of circus off the pitch.
Jonathan, looking at the actual football, we know the draw now, we know where England are going to be playing their games. lots of focus now on the amount of travelling they'll have to do and the infamous heat conditions that they will have to endure. Is this a World Cup, as much as people are saying, yes, England have got a fantastic chance of winning, do these conditions and this travelling going to maybe scupper their chances somewhat?
No, I don't think so. I think the heat is the same for everyone. I think Tuchel actually has given this issue a lot of thought. Obviously, Boston, New York, Dallas. Dallas, I think, is going to be cooled. It's going to be like a temperature-controlled stadium,
Conditioned stadium. It's a big advantage.
These players go to, they play Premier League summer tours. They go to the Far East. They go to Australia. They go to the East Coast of the USA, and they play in this kind of heat quite often. And they know how to adjust. I think the heat is less of an issue. I think. I think, like, you look at that draw, I don't see a huge amount of problems for England there, and that I think is partly due to the format. So obviously 48 teams go to 32. You have to try really hard to get yourself eliminated from this tournament at the group stage. Although I think Scotland might give it a good go.
I have to say, I think the heat is a problem. I disagree with that. The whole sort of lions in the autumn, lambs in the summer. That whole idea that England don't cope with these conditions very well. I was out in America for the Club World Cup, and the difference it makes where you have an air-conditioned stadium, which is temperature controlled, and you're not exposed to 35, 40 degree heat. It's a huge advantage that England have got one of those games. They're on the East Coast as well. Time difference obviously will help them. I think they're planning to go out early to America to try and acclimatise. The last time they did that was in 2014. They went to Miami for a warm weather break, like sort of pre-tournament camp. They were out of the tournament within 8 days in Brazil. They don't cope with these kind of conditions very well, and I think they're already trying to tackle this. The FA, they've already been taking these heat pills that they've been making the players take. They've been on bikes in training camps. Thomas Tuchel was very impressed with this. The FA kind of came up with this initiative to sort of try and test the players to see how they cope with it. They're very aware of it.